Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Timberborn. It's 113 dayer. I think you know what that's reference to, and I'm sure we'll get to it by the end of this video. But first, we're going to have a little bit of a conversation about where we are. I mean, I'm surprised we survived that last drought, really. But on this episode, we are going to finish the design of our new district, which is called Fungi. I don't think that's a great name for how good it looks, but it kind of says what it does. It is where we're going to grow a lot of fungus. So we're just going to leave it with that name for now. And it works well for this sort of playthrough that we're doing. We've going pretty well, actually. We did have that food crisis that's going on. And food is seeming to be a continuous problem for this playthrough for me and something I need to do better in the future. We've discussed a few times about this not really being a permadeath episode or series anymore. While we are going to run the rules, I'm going to focus on the final build to get us out of this. And then I realize how much resource we need to actually make that happen. So it's not going to end as quick as I thought it was. And answering that problem straight away, we dive in by building storage and more gear factories. This thing's going to need 2,000 gears. It needs 2,000 treated planks and it needs 2,000 metal blocks. And if you've been watching this series for any length of time, that's a lot of stuff. We are going to focus on it. We're either going to die of a drought or we're going to win and get this series sort of finished. And this is the end game that you're seeing right now with this monument being built. But the name of the episode kind of gives it away of what's about to hit us by the end of it. But nevertheless, we've got to get power over there. And the best way to get power is to plug it into this existing chain that's running through here. And this is to power the gear factories that we've built. And it gets a little bit messy to get power over here, but this method does work nicely where you sort of build scaffolding over paths and just make that power follow the same path way. You're not using any land that you can use to grow things, and that works quite well. We're now going to jump over to our new fungi district, and this is where we wanted to use dynamite to create the illusion that it's floating. And we did that on the right on the previous episode where we've built the houses and we've built the food storage and we've built all of the water pumps. The idea being that this district, they go to work in the day in the center and at night they take the metro and come home. And we're continuing that build on this side, and really it is a copy of what we've already done and mirrored. I did work out a better way to design the entertainment area. One of the things I wanted to do with this was make it entertaining as well. Then I remembered that there's no place for hauling posts, there's no place for medical bays, and it got big again, but it's fine. We managed to get it in. And I think I spoke on the previous episode about this not being a 3-block design. That 2 in the middle, it just makes everything so awkward when you get something like that. This game seems to work best when you design in blocks of 3. Certainly when doing something like this. There's nothing I can do about it. I wasn't going to extend the reservoir out another block just to account for it. And in the end, we use it to its advantage and it works pretty well. I'm not sure if you can hear that in the background, but my robot is snoring. He's kind of featured a few times on these playthroughs. He normally makes himself known when I do the long playthroughs and not the short ones, but he is asleep, it's late, and you might be able to hear him snoring. He'll stop in a minute. But anyway, it's certainly not a cat purring. We create the pathways that take us up to the levels that we need to, and I copied the same design as I did on the other side, and I actually worked out, do you know what? I can get 2 fire areas up here if I change the pathways and change the spiral staircase. And this design is just so much better, so much so that I decided to go and replicate it on the other side to make it match. It's using all of the space that we possibly can in the best way. We set all of the storage areas to accept all of the food that the whole colony is making, and they'll bring it in here. On this playthrough, again, by the way, the food district decided not to transport its food to the rest of the colony, and that made basically the metal district and the central district just run out of food. They all started to starve to death, and it was at the worst possible time because we got hit by a drought, and we're starting a drought in a bad situation. I managed to rectify it a little bit, but it's still not great. But I'm really happy with this design. I think it's worked out really well overall. The whole sort of steampunk aesthetic just works, and I'm very excited to see them get to build this. And I'm thinking what I probably need to do is just run the game in the background and just allow these to build, because we just keep building more and more insane districts, and we're just not getting them built because there's just not enough food and water, because they're not being built, because they're planned in these insane ways. In fact, they are focusing more on the robot district than anything else, which kind of surprised me. I thought they'd go for Reservoir 3 first, but I think it's because they can't reach the top. And at the end of this video, I show you a new design that I worked out while filming this that uses a metro line as an elevator to get them to the top, but we'll see that later. But isn't it looking great? It's looking amazing. It's probably one of the best compact structures I've ever built. And to finish it off, we needed a district. I built all that without an actually district. And oak and fungi, we decided to call it in the end. And we added the district at the top and added some details and flair using structures and sculptures and fire, and basically just made a statement out of it. But I don't think I've ever built something this compact. I quite liked giving myself the challenge of I can only build on the water, and it kind of forced this monstrous design, and I hope it works. There's been a few other designs in the district that have been built that I totally forgot about, and you're going to see one of those in a moment where we built the metro lines, but we didn't build the actual pathways for them to be able to use. So that's pretty much the end of our build for this area. We added a few hauling posts around the edge. I wasn't too fussed that those were on the ground. I think they work because they don't go back to them when they're not to work. They just haul, and I wasn't too fussed about that. And we added the metro line in that completed the ring from the front to the back in the center, hooked it up to the pathway, and that is it. There we are. Doesn't it look absolutely fabulous? I tell a lie. I actually went a little bit more crazy. I decided that they needed a swimming pool. I wanted to build them some more entertainment things to do on their time off and get that score up, because they aren't happy in any of these districts. So we added some swimming pools, we added some showers, we added some back scrubbers, and I've actually just realized that those showers don't work because the pathway can't get to them. So I need to fix that on the next episode. I just spotted that as I was just watching that back. That it does make me think how many more errors I've got in the design of all of this stuff if I've just spotted that. Those showers don't work. I tried to replicate the design on the other side, but it gets in the way of the pumps, and it's just not going to work. And I'm not going to go back and destroy everything to push it back. I think in the future, if I was playing this privately, I would have spent a lot more time working this out. And it's something I've learned while streaming these things, is you just don't have time to think. You just kind of get on with it and hope it all fits together, and it looks great. At this point, I realized that there are no birthing pods, and well, actually here I worked out that there's no medical bays, and then I work out that I have no birthing pods. So we go back and we add the medical bays. I delete half the medical bays and we put birthing pods on. And I'm pretty sure that's everything. This colony is going to need to be self-sufficient. And that's been the point of these satellite areas, is that they look after themselves in a drought. But there's the final result. Doesn't it look great? I'm really, really happy with the way it's turned out. As I say, it's the first time I've made something this compact, and setting yourself that challenge, it's amazing how much this game can really make your brain work, but you can fit an entire district in a very small space. And yeah, let's keep jumping back in and checking on that as they build it. So this is one of the things that I realized. These have been here for many, many, many cycles, and I only realized that they actually don't have a path hooking them up, so they've not been used as a metro, and it is a problem because it means that they can't get food back to the main area very quickly, and certainly now we've got this drought situation that's happening. The drought was announced. You can see that we've got like a day left before we find out how long we had. And I also realized at this point that food had stopped basically exporting food anywhere else. So all the beavers had died in the metal district, and they were dying here too. And I didn't get to the metal district in time to put more beavers into it, and the droughts hit. And as the permadeath rules state, once a drought starts, I can't move the beavers around. And that's where we got hit with the 112, 113 day drought. It's good times. But anyway, before we're going to talk about that, we'll get to that at the end. This is the elevator. How cool is this? So metro at the bottom, metro at the top, and a pipeway that runs next to the wooden structure. It means as they build the metro on the bottom and go up, they will deliver resources to the top and build as they go. I used to build huge wooden staircases up that. You don't need to do that anymore with that design. It uses a lot of materials, but it works really, really well. Maybe something you guys can use on your builds in the future. Well, that's kind of where we got to. We got hit with this huge drought. We don't have a lot of water. We don't have a lot of food. We have quite a lot of beavers. But I said it at the end of the last one, it wasn't looking good then, and they survived. So we can have a little bit of hope that they survive this. But I promise you, if they don't, it will be the end of the permadeath, and this will be unsuccessful, which I really don't want to happen because we've worked so hard. But I will carry on the civilization and the district. I'll change the difficulty so we can enjoy all of the fruits of our labors on all of the designs that we've done. And I will definitely come back with a video that shows that. But let's not be too downhearted. Let's have a little bit of optimism and hope these guys get through this. But until that happens, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.